What's going on, everybody? We are here with the one and only Mike Ross of Ross Salvatore Real Estate Group, and super excited. Also, too, you're in the archives of the IBB top 3
I think
world.
it was one of the first couples. So
Yeah,
I feel honored.
yeah.
You were back again.
You were kind enough to be like, okay, James and Gary, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I will show up at your office. And then we took the backs of the chairs off. Mm-hmm. We stole a Believe and Succeed picture, and
that made it official.
We're like, we're in front of a motivational picture. This is gonna go viral. But no. So obviously, we've been partnered up, with Go Lake County, helping the community and stuff. And then obviously, your team's been doing a lot for our clients and for the people that we work with. And it's been a lot of fun as Team IBB has grown, seeing Ross Salvatore grow as well. So you said you're up to how many people now, roughly?
Well, currently we are at 7 total. And then we have 2 new hires that we'll be bringing on towards the end of the year.
Awesome. So 9. And when we had talked, it was you and Salvatore.
Yeah, just 2 of us.
So
just 2 little real estate agents.
Two buddies hanging out, being like, let's do real estate. One of the things that, first off, being in the collab here, you were part of the original, Mastermind think tank, and then what's cool is you and Sanjay and Nicole, you guys were able to bring it to life. What I mean? You actually make it a thing. So,
Sanjay and Nicole did most.
Sanjay and Nicole, you're like.
But all of us were together at that first, I think, over a beer, right? And we decided, hey, we should do this.
Over a soda pop of sorts.
Yeah. I mean, soda pop, not beer.
But no, and I think so. What's cool is you've evolved a lot. Your team's evolved a lot. And one of the things that you and I talk a lot about is generating wealth, creating wealth. It's like your end goal is not to just sell a bunch of real estate. Your goal is okay, I want this to be good for you. I want it to be good. I want this to be a continuing relationship where everybody can profit from that.
Of course.
Moving into 2020, and we're talking about how do you stay burn proof with your health and with your wealth, and obviously you're one of our in-house wealth experts here at the collab. So diving into what you feel people can take into the new year and just into the rest of their lives to stay burn. For us, stay burn proof just basically means create a plan that you can control what you can control, and then stick to it. So just kind of press repeat. So. Man, I'm gonna shut up, but I'm excited. I'm excited to hear his deep voice, his deep voice goals, and sorry, I'll be serious. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
But just take us into the first one, and just we'll go from there, my man.
Yeah. So I think the first little thing for the segment of the top 3 here would be number 1 for me is goal setting and weekly accountability. And this has been pivotal in the last, quarter of our existence of our team here, and it really kind of hammered home in the last couple of months here, is we've set up, really detailed goals in terms of transactional volume, team goals, and then, obviously that spills over to life and all that good stuff too. But, with some of the steps that we put into place, we have Brian and myself have a 10 a.m. call every Monday. That is scheduled for 30 minutes, and it's in the calendar. We have a call-in number, login, all that good stuff, so we can go over the stuff for the week, along with hitting some of the other stuff that we're working on in the background to make sure the team works efficiently. And then, and that also falls into that weekly accountability. But with the team, we have our Friday meetings, 9:30 every Friday. And, with that being said, that's when we go over, the goals that we're setting for the week. And then I ask for an update, come Monday, Tuesday from the team, how their goals are going. And nothing crazy, just, hitting your calls, just whatever we can do to help, the team members really kind of reach their income goals. Mm-hmm. So, it's just basically, we don't run a tight ship by any means.
You're not micromanaging, you're not micromanaging every little thing, but you are tying every week to like week by week. You can get lost in your annual goal so fast. Like you can forget what your annual goal even was, within the first month. So like, I guess so. Can you talk a little bit to that? Like, how do you keep it flexible, but also
when
to
life
not
gets in the way.
when like what I mean, but failure is not an option. You know what I mean? So failure is not an option, but also too micromanagement's not an option. So how do you do that dance, so to speak?
Well, so like my team members, I had them all just kind of give me, from a global perspective of the team. Me and Brian, run it, and then the agents work for us, and all of us work for Howard Hanna. But with that, we have our team members kind of give us their income goals, and based off of that, we work backwards. So if you want to make, purpose of the conversation, $50,000, right? So in the next year, and so with that being said, so we break that down to the average sale price that they had the previous year, where we can tweak, based off of, the types of clients they were working with, type of price range, all that good stuff. We derive that average sale price, what we could potentially increase it to. And then from there, we work back with the number of transactions per year they would have to do, then break that down to monthly and then even weekly if it's a larger goal. And then once we have what transaction total we need to hit per week, monthly, whatever, then we do from there break down to the daily activities that they need to do, not necessarily need to do, but will help them achieve that goal. And, it's, we don't rule with an iron fist by any means. It's like, if one of my team members says that they're going to make 5 calls a day, I believe them. Yep. And, and then I just check in with them Monday, Tuesday. Hey, how are the calls going? And it's really just kind of and I lean on them for my own personal goals, because I don't just ask them to make the weekly accountabilities. Like, I write down everybody's stuff on Friday, mine, Brian's, everybody on the team. And then Friday at the next meeting, very first thing is check off, like, where did everybody go? What came of it? How can we help you? Maybe strengthen that relationship, all of that good stuff. Yeah.
Do you feel that having your team helps keep you accountable?
Oh, 100%, because, especially, when it's just me and Brian, we kind of flew by the seat of our pants. We did pretty well, but
that's the James and Gary way too.
Yeah, there was no accountability.
Sounds good. Let's do it. Yeah.
And the goal was to sell as much as we could haphazardly, and I mean we did well. But now that come the end of the year, there's going to be 9 of us. Like, it's like keeping my feet to the fire and Brian's feet to the fire that, we really need to hone in on, fine tweaking our systems and making sure that our agents have everything that they need from us at any given time. Like, whether it be cloud-based systems or just us being available at certain times during out the week, having set times with them, where they can bounce whatever they need off of us, really just come from a position of help, and how can we empower them to become better.
Awesome. So if someone out there, so say for example, rewind the clock and you're just Mike Ross, and whether you're in real estate or you have a 9-to-5, like someone out there saying, I want to have that accountability and that, I want my feet to the fire to hit my wealth goals for next year. How could someone go about, even if they don't have like their own team necessarily, how could they create that quote unquote team to help keep them accountable? Yeah,
so that's a pretty simple question and answer there. So prior to me having a real estate team, I utilized my manager at Howard Hanna as my weekly accountability person. It wasn't necessarily weekly, it was probably like bi-weekly. And we would come up with tasks that I would, accomplish over that 2-week period before the next time we met. Okay. And, and she let me know, like, if I didn't hit my goals, like, it's like, well, you didn't make those extra calls, now that might have cost you an extra deal. And then, that gets people thinking, and it works well for me. Just having that person to bounce things off of. And prior to the team, I utilized my manager. And I mean, even to this day, I still utilize her. You know, so we'll make our weekly accountability teams, and then she checks in. I mean, me and Brian meet with her on a monthly basis,
Okay.
just to, you know, because we set some goals, some task goals with her, you know, and then the next month she pulls out that list of what we did,
Yeah.
and or what
There's
we
no,
said we were going to do.
doesn't matter like what you said you did, but the results are going to speak for
Exactly.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to pull out that list. I mean, you could just look at the numbers and just say, like, you know, well, now we only have 5 in escrow. Well, guess what? We didn't make those calls that we needed to make.
Yep.
And that's a direct reflect, you know, of that. So I guess for the person that doesn't have a team that works for them or underneath them or whatever, you know, utilize the person directly above you if you're not the top of your organization. And because that person, I would imagine, would be more than willing to help because it will, I mean, selfishly, it will help them. You know, if you become a better employee, it'll just work its way up the chain.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome. And well, anything else to add to goal setting and weekly check-ins?
No, other than the fact that I wish I would have done this, you know, more detailed over the last like 4 to 5 years. It would have done wonders in my business, but I guess you gotta fall before you get up and run, right? So, but,
Do the Schleicher. You know?
but yeah, I mean, it's I believe it's pivotal in, you know, exponential growth in the business.
So should that be part of the goal setting, is to be more detailed in the check-in and the accountability?
Well, yeah. I mean, make it a point, put it in the calendar, and that way, and it's an appointment then. So you don't schedule anything else. Like if it's in my calendar, I'll be there. So I won't schedule over. Might move back 15 minutes here or there, but if it's in the calendar, it stays there. So I mean, set that up. Like, I mean, me and my manager have our monthly set in calendar, and if it needs to change, we let each other know a couple days ahead of time. Same with the team. I mean, we're set in calendar. Fridays at 9:30, set in calendars. Monday at 10 a.m. for me and Brian. Like, it is expected that you are to be there. So, I mean, that's the only thing that I would really say that it irks me, is if, like, you know, the whole team's supposed to be there and nobody shows up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing that would irk me. But, you know, because you set aside the time to help you grow. But But yeah, I mean.
But it just becomes habit. You know, you're talking about like having at this time every Monday at, was it 10 a.m. right, and then every Friday at 9:30.
Well, for example, my 10 a.m. call this morning. It's Monday morning, by the way. My 10 a.m. call this morning, I had a 9:30 meeting. I told that person I told my 10 a.m. I had to push to 10:15, and I told that person I had a 9:30 meeting with that I was done at 10:10. I had a hard stop. Because I can't miss that call. And so it's just one of those things that, you know, it's took a while to drill it into my head about that accountability aspect of that, but it's done wonders. It's done wonders.
Awesome. Very cool. So even if you're the James and Gary or the Mike and Brian, but like the just flying by the seat of your pants and being unstructured is, I feel like, it is kind of part of your superpower, is that you can do anything on the fly. But eventually it is going like
crash and burn.
You're going to be burnt out on that. So, So what's next? So that's our first key to staying burn proof. What's the second one?
The second one would be investing in and/or empowering the people around you, not just you know, the people you work with, but you know, the people around you, family members, friends, all that good stuff, and then obviously the people you work with and/or work for, or work for you.
So how do you do that?
Well, again, it's going to kind of probably sit back to that goal setting and weekly accountability a little bit.
Those dang goals,
I know,
they keep popping up.
I know, it's funny how it
it's
all
like you
ties
need
together.
them.
Exactly, weird. But yeah, so we spend a considerable amount of time investing in, you know, from a team perspective, we invest in our employees. They're not really employees, they're agents that work for us. But, you know, and through that, it's just being really there for them in that aspect, whether it be personal and or professional. So, you know, anytime, you know, my team knows that my phone's on 24 hours a day. So we run into an issue with the transaction, you know, I'm there for whatever words of wisdom I can provide to them, or just a sounding board so they can throw 50 things at me and then just talk it through themselves. I don't even have to say anything.
Yep.
And then they figure it out. I'm like, great, go get it done. And
But to having that confirmation that like they're on the right track, they are thinking correctly.
well, exactly. And then also, I mean, with the investing in them, like, I mean, we spend a fair amount of money on the back end just to ensure that they have everything that they need, whether it be lead flow, social media presence, whatever they feel they need that will make them better at what they do. We certainly invest in them. I mean, from a team perspective, we take on a majority of their costs, and just so they don't have to worry about anything really. So with that, I guess we're investing in them because we can shift their focus from, oh man, how am I going to pay for this? Because I don't have a deal coming, closing for 30 days. It's like, well, we're going to take care of that for that listing so we can get that thing moved through the process. And, ultimately it's for the client. So, I think through investing in our team members, obviously will ultimately be better for the client. And that's obviously the end goal.
Is there anything, so if someone is watching this and saying, okay, I too have a team, I want to invest in them. Is there any do's and don'ts and lessons learned? Like for me, I know like for a long time with my team, it was more of, all right, well, I'm going to pay for this training. I'll pay for this. I was investing money, but it got to a point where it just was like a dead stop in our growth because I was just throwing money at it instead of, it was just like the whole, like, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time for, this, like you love your team, but at the same time, you have all different things happening.
Of course.
But, I think that's the one thing for me is where we just catapulted was when I finally started actually truly investing, like downloading my brain into my team. I mean, like, and then, but two, being open. I said I was open to new ideas, but I was more just fixated on my ideas work, so we're just going to do them. You know what I mean? Like, but in the process, Reed, Mike, and Gary have all they've taken you're talking about like just my wishy-washy in the moment, like all up here ideas. And like, okay, now we're going to put them on paper, and we're actually going to have a structured everything.
Move an idea to an action item.
And so I guess, that was a big aha, and I know we've talked about that in the past too, is just like, you can invest in your team, but like what I didn't realize for a long time, I was investing in the wrong, whether it be the wrong area or I was investing the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I guess, is there anything that you could speak to on that when it comes to trying to identify, if I'm gonna invest, where's the highest payout, at the end of the day?
That's a great question. So I would say probably, in terms of instead of throwing money at a problem, something like that. I mean, if any of our team members wanted to do specific training, like I'm a new home specialist and residential construction certified, and that training's not cheap. It's I forget how much it is, but either way, if somebody says that they would, they want to do that, I want the training, and then so we'll dissect why they, necessarily would want that, because it may be something that we could just work on internally. And then so instead of just throwing money at the problem or potential problem or getting the training, I just make myself available. So say that agent wanted to,
Can you say it again? You make yourself available.
Make myself available. And
that's the biggest investment.
And 100%. And it's always one of those things that you really are never too busy to really help the people that are, essentially helping you. I mean, their success is a direct, their success directly impacts me. So why wouldn't I make myself available? Right. So, if somebody says they're too busy, I don't believe that, because things can be moved, especially in my business.
But I'm so busy, Mike.
Aside from my 10 a.m. on Monday and 9:30 on Friday, everything else during the week
is flexible. Yeah.
In which case, if I can't make a half hour or an hour carved
Yep.
out of my schedule for my team member, then what am I doing?
Well, I think I'm just having, again, every time I talk to you, I'm like having aha moments, and I love our conversations, because I feel like, again, your team's growing, my team's growing, like it's just, everything's just, it's all growing pains, but there's like just lessons from that. But like we're talking about, you're never too busy, and that, I was telling myself that lie for a year at least, and but it's just weird. Like I feel like too, like when you and I first started, we had no money.
Yeah.
So it was like we had all the time in the world and no money, right? And then like the shift happens where it's like, okay, well now I have money. It's like you're not throwing money at, but it's like now it's easier. To just pay for something instead of be available. At least you think it like, oh, I can't be available for 2 hours. I don't have the time. It's like, so I think that that's something that is huge.
Maybe I could just buy more leads, and then they don't need to worry about the crappy lead that they got. Because they just got 3 more. But that doesn't fix it.
It doesn't fix the fact that they have no idea how to make a phone call.
Well, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas if I just spend 30 minutes
it's like
on a
buying
script,
Henry and JJ like an actual car. It's like, dude, here.
Figure it out.
You want to get to daycare? Have at it. Like
I will pick up 15 minutes on my day.
you want that cookie? Go to the store. So no, cool, man. So no, this is again, I am embracing and extending your conversation. This is awesome. It's very cool. So
Good.
and that's, I will say, you're talking about investing and empowering. It's like the investment in the person and in your time together. That's what the money doesn't empower anybody.
No.
I feel like it cripples.
It's kind
the
of,
money cripples you. Like you and I, like not having money is what drove us. You know what I'm saying? Like not having things handed to us is why it's so rewarding. You know what I mean?
And then now we're somewhat responsible for some of these people's well-being.
No big deal.
So with that being said, I will always make an effort
time.
to carve out time for any one of my team members.
Love it.
Obviously that extends to the personal life, family, wife, children, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You're never too busy to empower those that you love. I mean, it's crazy to say that you are. So
you're never too busy to make time for the people you love. Where were you, dude? I shouldn't say where were you. You were right next to me this whole time. So no, I love this. This is changing my perspective too on, dude, I really have way more time to give. And I'm going to give more time, so.
Yeah, it's just a matter of effectively using your time.
Yes.
So that's to maximize and get more time in the day, which is
I gave my
always
team
a
more
challenge.
time. I just ran out of stuff to say.
That could be.
Ran out of investments to make it. But cool. So we have obviously those dang goals and then the check-in, holding people accountable. And
Investing and empowering.
Investing in power, making time for the people you love and in your team. So take us on home, man. What is that third key, brother?
So this one has been really pivotal in my business personally. Would be investing in myself/business through networking and industry and transactional knowledge.
Okay. So well, that's obviously how you're able. You had to download from somewhere to be able to
bestow. I heard that word on a TV show last night. I was like, I'm going to use that today.
Dude, nice. Bestow.
So I mean, I wouldn't.
I bestow this gold upon you.
I wouldn't be anywhere where I am today if I did not invest in, just basic real estate knowledge, transactional knowledge, and industry knowledge. I mean, my time blocked morning is until 9 a.m. Take the kid to school, all that good stuff. And during that time, like in between, helping him get out the door and all that good stuff, I'm doing my industry research, from a global perspective, and I use Inman News for that. Kind of really just only real estate, and we're just picking up stuff from there for agent growth, technology growth, just overall market growth, stuff like that. All stuff that we can go back to, number two there is, reinvest in our team with that knowledge.
Yeah.
And, just help everybody really kind of just move their business forward. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have that, industry knowledge, transactional knowledge, any of that stuff, you are doing a gigantic disservice to your clients.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think, the natural attrition rate in our business, will speak to that 100%. I mean, 80% of agents that are licensed are out of the business in 5 years. And that's because, I mean, you could.
The same with our industry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing they don't teach you in class is, lead generation. It's one of those things. But even if you're good at the lead generation, if you don't have the, transactional real estate knowledge behind it, then, you're not going to convert that lead anyways, because they're, the general public now is very, they know more probably before they called you than you're going to tell them on that phone call.
Yep.
So, I mean, what they're looking for is they're really looking for somebody that really knows what they're talking
doing.
about
Yeah.
and or
Yep.
doing. And, and if they don't think you are that person on the phone, they're just going to hang up and call the next person that they saw on there. So, investing in yourself with that knowledge, will obviously help your career. And then, with that second aspect of that is investing in yourself through networking. That's, I fully attribute, my successes in business to networking. And 86% of my business comes from network and past clients. And probably 70% of those past clients came from networking.
Yeah.
So, so I guess the moral story is network. But, not going to sound like the broken record that you hear.
But and I know, like, it's easy to forget how tough that was, and just how stressful it was, how, like, just, I just remember going to every networking event, early on, just being like, I don't want to go. This is going to be so awkward.
You find the one person in the room that you talk to them for the whole 2 hours, you leave.
Yeah, like, I won't be weird, it's a networking event. Like, but like, can you take us kind of from, so if someone's out there like day one, I know I need to network, but I don't know. It's interesting, like, a lot of the networking advice out there is wrong. Where it's like, just go get as many business cards as possible. It's like, you're not there to find business cards. You're there to find business people to create business relationships.
Yeah, people that you connect with on, some sort of level, whether it be business, personal, whatever.
Yep.
But you have to come from a position of a help to that person, because, that person didn't know you 5 minutes ago. And, you collect their business card and you're like, oh, great, I'm going to do business with that person. But you provided no perceived value to that person. The person's going to forget about who you are 3 minutes after walking away. So, I always go, with the intention of, if I do connect with somebody there, it's like, how can I help them, do what they want to do, before I even think about, oh, what can they do for me?
Right.
Because you'll never be an effective networker or be able to convert any of those, contacts to potential business contacts if you just go in there and say, hey, great to meet you last night at XYZ Networking, but I got this great listing, you and your wife should check it out, or you and your husband should check it out. I guarantee you will not get a reply on that.
Okay.
Unless you specifically spoke about that last night, but
I mean,
one of
it's
those
just transactional. Like, again, like, this being that transactional business card collector, and then on the opposite end, like, are you talking about giving value and just like approaching every new conversation is like, how can I help this person? You're making a connection, not a transaction.
Correct.
And so, yeah, man, I don't like, so did you just go to, like, certain types of networking events? Like, did you, like, I know, like, for us, we have, like, our secret society. The secret society was kind of like, it was like built, it was like a network built on top of all of our different I mean, like, it was like created from the fundamental foundation that we all kind of did on our own.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things I do. I mean, I'm a member at the Western Lake County chamber. Make it to some of their stuff. Don't make it to a whole ton, but I find extreme value when I do, because you have to go there with an open mind. I mean, chances are you're going to meet somebody that you haven't met before.
Yep.
All that good stuff. So I guess that's, some of those are more structured networking events versus, more informal. Secret society is a great thing, but I also like during election season, I do get fairly involved on the local level for politics, not necessarily state or federal anymore, but the locals, where it's at. I mean, nothing. I mean, that's where everything happens, is at the local level. That's going to directly affect you. But the nice thing is, so you start working with or helping one of these candidates, get to the position that they desire. But along the way, you meet a whole bunch of like-minded people that share the same viewpoints as you, obviously, because you're working with the same type of candidate. And then from there, you just develop the connection. And more often than not, they do, they have some sort of job that, you guys can be mutually beneficial, mutually benefit from. So, from there,
you're not, but same deal is you're not there transactionally.
Exactly.
You're there because you genuinely, like I said, the political climate, what happens, and this is something that we've experienced with Will Beast, just with the school levy, like that is a direct impact on real estate. It's a direct impact on, home price. It affects everything. Who's elected, who's in council, who's mayor, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, it has an immediate effect on
the local economy.
And you're saying that you're out trying. First off, you're interested in that stuff. You know what I mean? Like you're passionate about it, but also you're doing it as a way to say, hey, I'm here to mutually create wealth for me and my team, but also for the people that are getting into real estate. Especially you're talking about you do not many people do the new construction, and you're one of the few realtors that actually looks at real estate as an investment, not as like, oh hey, you like it? Yeah, it's cool. Reminds me of your child. Reminds you of home when you were younger. Yeah, cool. Buy it. So I think that for anybody watching, like don't get it confused from the standpoint of just go get involved in politics or just go to the chamber. Because it's like that's the first way to. That's like the best way to put yourself out of business is to show up to a networking event and be transactional. Show up to some just anything. And be there disingenuously. So.
I mean, the events that I attend, I genuinely want to be there, and I think that's the first step that you have to, because people read that right away. Like if. I told Brian, I was like, hey, you need to come to this event with me, and he doesn't really want to go. people are going to be able to tell. In which case, and I try not to do that to anybody. I don't even do that to my wife. Well, sometimes. But
love you.
I mean, she's a trooper though. She'll go with me into the events, and I think sometimes she finds value in them. But it's But she's a trooper when it comes to that.
You want to go?
And she's a trooper when saying, "Hey, I got an event Thursday night and one Saturday night." She's like, "Great, go." And because she knows that it's beneficial.
And that's networking. That's how we met. Was actually
through
through Andrew Samich. So tax advice.
By the way, I met him through a Zillow lead.
Zillow lead, really?
He inquired about a property.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny little story. He inquired about a property, emailed me a month later. Hey, I'm not real close with any real estate agents. You want to go grab a soda? And from there,
soda of sorts.
Yeah, yes. And then from there, he's like, hey, do you know James Schleicher? I was like, no. He's like, you need to. Gives me your card.
Yeah, man.
We met for a soda.
A soda.
Not too long after that. And then, 3-ish, 4 years later, here we are for the second top 3 video.
I love it. I love it. No, I think so. Like that's where again, there was a lot of other things you could have been doing besides meeting me. And there's a lot of things that, I mean, so like, but Samich. First off, he's brilliant with taxes, but he's one of the few people that I will say, like, he makes me feel like I've never networked in my life. I mean, like, he is a networking machine, So, but no, I think these are real life examples of you never know where that conversation is going to take you. You never, I mean, like, dude, it's just next thing you know, we're literally, in the collab, and then also too, we're running golf outings together, and we're,
all
I don't
sorts
know,
of fun
everybody's having kids, and like it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
It's cool.
It's crazy.
Very cool. Crazy cool. Awesome, man. Well, anything else to add?
Yeah,
Before
I
we get
mean,
to
I don't
that?
know. My top three kind of they all kind of integrate together,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, because they kind of all just
Well,
work off of each other.
you're saying that one key to your success most likely has something to do with your other key. I mean, like it's not like, hey, this thing way over here is why I'm successful, and then this thing it all
Yeah.
will kind of come together. The one thing I did want to close on too is and we talked a lot about this with, where we're at now. So moving into 2020, we got the election year coming up. So if someone's truly trying to be strategic with real estate or investing, historically speaking, I know that there's my world works a certain way, your world works a certain way. Now, but like, what do you see happening, or what are some little tidbits you could throw out there to help people make the right decision?
Well, yeah. Anytime that the general is happening, the general election, it's going to be business as usual for the first 8-9 months, and then historically, since like the Carter administration, we see like just go flatline, and from there it's just because people don't like uncertainty, and if an incumbent wins, it's typically going to be business as usual. If the challenger wins, then obviously there's going to be some sort of policy changes, economic changes, whatever. So with that, I mean, it's going to be business as usual. The first part of the year, we're probably going to see interest rates drop another quarter point.
Just it's still crazy, man.
Well, yeah, it's nuts. But anytime there's an incumbent president running for re-election, and if the Fed wants to keep him in, they're going to keep the economy going. Because that would be nothing worse for an incumbent but economy to tank while you're in re-election. Yeah. So
sorry about that.
yeah, so it's going to be business as usual in 2020.
Yeah.
If whatever happens in November, we wouldn't see an effect till 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be scared about necessarily like in terms of investing in like investment properties or anything like that. That's one of those things that the value may fluctuate in rougher economic times with an investment property in terms of overall value. But the one thing that's a constant is that everybody always needs a roof over their head, right? So it's one of those things that the value may fluctuate, and if you don't have to sell it, it's not that big of a deal because you're still collecting the rent and the mortgage is still covered. You can weather that storm, and if you need to sell it after the fact, then you're still going to be in good shape equity-wise. But even so, I mean, even if you bought an investment property now, the banks right now are, they require 25-30% down on those investment properties. So, you're going to be okay. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much.
Okay. So just basically, regardless of what decision you make in 2020, it can't just be about this year. If you're truly trying to make a strategic real estate move, it can't be about the next 20 days, 20 months. It's got to be about the next 20. I mean, like, ideally,
you got to look at the
gotta
end
have a long
goal
time.
there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're looking for your forever home, right? Like you and Erica wanted to buy that last house, then don't worry about it, because if you're not going to move for 25 years, I mean, you always have to kind of think about it in the back of your head. In the event you have to sell, you don't necessarily want to have to write a check. But, but if it's going to be something that you don't plan on moving from, just make a smart decision. In terms of investment property, anytime I pro forma out an investment, I factor 0 appreciation every single time. And we only pro forma it out 1 year because we don't like to try to predict the future. So
if there's any surprises, they're good ones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if for example, downtown Willoughby market is like spiked really, right? So it's like 5 to 7% growth per year over the last 3-4 years, and so which case I still would pro forma out the property with no appreciation. And then if you sold it 1 year from now and you realize that appreciation, you'd be very happy. Right. I mean, but then Uncle Sam's going to take their little piece too. But
taxes?
Weird.
They make those?
Yeah. But hold it for 2 years and be a little bit better set. But anyways, yeah. I mean, if it makes sense for you right now, we just sit down and we just look at it and make sure it makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome. So, plan worst case scenario. and then that way they're
Plan for the worst, hope for the best.
and then, but two, depending on what shakes out in the future. So even if it does go worst case scenario, that's what you went into the deal knowing that, understanding that, and also knowing that you could live with that. That it was still it's still beneficial even if it's the worst case scenario. When it comes to just real estate in general, is there any advice you would give to people? 'Cause I feel like a lot of times too, it's a very emotional thing, and you crack me like, you crack me every like you're just like, I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, this was the room that I learned how to tie my shoes, like, or this was, so obviously like. You can't change that. You can't, like, even if I see the house that we grew up on Eldo Street, I still, like, I walk through it and it just, like, takes me back. And how do you help people, like, say, listen, emotions are great.
Yep.
But this
we are
is
the impartial party.
This is a financial decision. Like, this is something that, for 99% of the world, this is the most expensive purchase you're ever going to make in your entire life. And if you do it because the tree in the front yard reminds you of when you were little, because you had the little tire swing thing, like, it's like, I'll buy you a tire swing at that other house. Just please make the right move. So I guess, how does that work?
We just become the impartial party, which is, So, whether it be on the buy side or the sell side, there's always going to be an emotion involved when you're buying a personal residence. Whether it's, your first home or your last home, whatever, there's going to be some sort of, personal connection to that property. That's why you're making an offer and ultimately purchasing it, from a personal level, in which case, when you're selling that house that, little Johnny and little Debbie grew up in, and now they're 30 years old, but their room has been untouched since they were in high school. All of that good stuff, and we'll talk about all those memories and all that. But then where I step in or my team steps in is like it's like, yeah, that's fantastic, But with all that being said, I think the current condition, location, all market conditions, all that, this is what we can get for your house. So we take that memory and emotion out of that because that's priceless, really, right? So, we actually just look at the hard data, past, history of sales to kind of predict future results. Yeah. And so, we just become that impartial party, sounding board. We'll listen to you for 2 hours. That's no big deal. But, at the end of the day, we look at hard data. For it.
And I even know, like, because it's hard. I feel like your real estate is just like, it's like looking in the mirror at yourself, where you can look at anybody else and be like, oh, look at that, there's that flaw, or there's this that that person has a short temper, or that person needs they need to work on that, they need to work on their goal setting, your real estate is kind of the same way, where you look at it just kind of like, you look at someone else's real estate, it's like, oh, it needs a ton of work. But then when you're looking in the mirror at yourself, it's like, well, it's perfect.
Exactly.
What do you mean you don't like that color paint? That's my favorite color.
So, and that's where we step in. We really just take the emotion out of it, and and really, I mean, people will beat you up over your house, in which case, that's where my kid, took his first steps. And it's like, you just kind of have to take that piece out of it completely. Otherwise, you're just going to get mad. And, that's what we're here to mitigate. We try to mitigate all of that. So
you try emotion. To keep people from getting arrested when someone else makes a comment about
very few house. Times it's ever been to that. But, but I mean, things get said, people get hurt. But, that's where we step in, really. Just being that impartial person.
Who painted this house? Like, don't you say nothing. All right, awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you, my man. I appreciate it. Again, reach out to this guy if you have anything in real estate, questions also too. But I feel like even if someone's looking at, like, how do I run a successful team? A lot of knowledge. I'm always picking his brain all the time as much as I can. So Thank you for being here, my man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
And again, we wish you the best, not only in 2020, but moving forward. So thank you for being part of this, staying burn proof in health and wealth. And until next time,
Stay burn proof.